Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And great, Brian is out there from Arkansas. Good to see you back on, Brian. There's a lot of folks on today, and yes, sir. Brian says, "Carry on, troop, as you were." Very good. Thank you, Brian. Well, happy Monday to everybody. It's Monday, February 10th, 2020, and hey, hi, Jim. A lot of you just saying hello. I appreciate that. And Jim is on. It seems like I guess you can hear my voice and you can see my screen good. Okay, that's great. Excellent. Thank you for that. We're here to get your questions answered, and we're going to do our very best. Those of you that are on with us for the first time, it's a couple of just minor announcements I have to make before we get on to our questions. So we are in a I'm not in my normal office. It's not a bad thing. We stopped on the way. We're on our way back home, and so we stopped at it. We're at a resort, actually spending a few nights, and it is really wonderful here. But in any case, I'm on a laptop that has a small screen. I'm used to being on my, being in my office, having a couple of nice large screens, and I can see all my controls. But I am on a small laptop. We're also communicating this from another Wi-Fi connection. I'm hoping that it doesn't do any dropping. So if if it does sound like I've dropped or I've gone away, I need somebody to chime in. Just put in that in your question box there and let me know that I've dropped so that we can make sure we get back online. It should be okay. Um, Brian says he wants to borrow my magnifying glass so he can see my screen. Well, quite honestly, Brian, you're not far from the truth. I'm seemingly needing better and better glasses each year, stronger glasses. So, in any case, but I'm glad to be here and glad to be with you all very much. Just send in your questions. Those of you that are brand new, send in your questions by typing in your questions in the question box. And if you would please put a couple of question marks or the word question in front of your question, and I'll be able to distinguish that between a question and comment. And so if you will do that, I appreciate it. We're going to get your questions answered here today. And just by way of public service announcement, so that you all know a little bit about what's coming up in the near future here, probably in the next week, couple of weeks, a week and a half or so. We are having a Investment Dominator workshop. We call it the Maximizer Workshop now, and a lot of you already know about that, and you're going to be coming to that workshop. And the no problem, no problem. You're going to be coming to that workshop. I just want to make sure I announce to you, those of you that are preparing for that 2-day Maximizer Workshop, if you could schedule your onboard calls. And the last time I mentioned an onboard call, someone wrote in and they said, well, what is it about these onboard calls? If you recently purchased the Investment Dominator, or you've purchased the Investment Dominator and you're coming to the 2-day Investment Dominator Maximizer Workshop, you have with me 2 half-hour one-on-one calls. So you having those calls, you need to schedule the 30 minutes, hopefully way before the 2-day Maximizer Workshop. So we're coming up to that where we have like a couple of weeks left. Please go on and schedule those calls. I'm asking folks that are putting onboard calls in to please schedule them on either Fridays or Mondays or Saturdays. So there's Fridays, there's Saturday mornings, and there are Mondays, primarily to schedule those calls. If you would, I would really appreciate it if you could do that. I don't want to. I have Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are reserved for not only my own business, but also for coaching calls that are already assigned, and everybody's call is very important. So I don't want you to think that, I'm going to prioritize one person's call over another. Everybody's call is important. So we just want to make sure we can get them all in. So some of you I may have to call because you're in a coaching slot when it should be and you're doing an onboard call. But it's not to say that your call is not important, and I hope no one takes it like that. So if we could work this out over the next couple of weeks, it would really help me a lot. So that's the onboarding calls are just for you to, what we talk about is the big three. The big three is, number one, as you can see my screen, we have making sure that you have a signature, number one, into the system so that when your neutral letters go out, they pull your signature. That's the first part. And the second part is to have, under the customize menu, apologize for the slowness of this Wi-Fi. I am on a Wi-Fi connection, and the good news is I'm the only one on the Wi-Fi connection, but the bad news is it's not the fastest Wi-Fi connection. So, any case, as you can see here, company information, that's the next item we'd like you to have completed and filled out. And this is still spinning. I'm hoping we're going to be able to demo things here without, without it being too slow. It is really slow. So in any case, your company information, where you have your company phone. Oh boy, you guys are full of jokes today. Someone just wrote in, they thought Motel 6 would be a lot faster, have a lot faster Wi-Fi. Well, it's not quite Motel 6, okay? You guys are funny. So anyway, wow, this is really okay. Anyway, I want you to have your company phone, your offer phone set up, and your selling site phone set up, and with your information here, especially your company address, etc. These are the big items that we need to have taken care of. And then finally, your buying and your selling site set up, which means that you may have to purchase a domain from GoDaddy and purchase a buying site and a selling site domain. There's a lot of folks who didn't know they needed 2 domains. So that's basically what the onboard calls are going to cover. And once you get that set up, and once you have that set up before you come to the 2-day workshop so that you can get the most out of the 2-day workshop. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on that point. The only other public service announcement, if you will, I wanted to make is that I'm not on Facebook, so I don't want anyone to get upset or think I'm being antisocial. I just don't man Facebook. So if you send out any inquiries or comments or questions to Facebook, it's normally held for our business. So we just take the ones that we know are for business. So I don't do a lot of chatting on. In fact, I don't do any chatting on Facebook. So please don't, get offended or anything like that. I'm not trying to ignore anyone. I just don't have time to be on Facebook. Okay. So that said, let's get into our first question, which came from the other day. There was a Shandis that was asking. I guess she's doing her own printing, basically, and doing her own printing of her own neutral letters. And some of you may be doing that out there. You may not be using ITI or letterprinting.net to print out your neutral letters. You're doing your own printing. So, and she was asking if she could change the date that prints on the neutral letter. She wants to do a lot of printing. I understand this. She wants to do all of her printing in one day, but so she might be printing 500 letters, or let's say even 1,000 letters. Let's use that as an example. But 500 of them she wants to go out today, and the other 500 she wants to go out, and she wants it to be dated, let's say next week. So today is February 10th. And if she wanted the others to go out on she wanted them to be dated on February 17th because that's when she's going to actually send them out. This is what Shandis is talking about, and she wants to be able to have the system kind of fool the system so that it will not show the current date, because when you print out of Investment Dominator, when you produce out of Investment Dominator, any prospects, right? And I'm glad we're on a demo account because it has fewer records. It's wow, it is really taking its time. But in any case, any prospect records sent out today. See, as soon as I go in here and I select these records, or I print these records, it's going to put today's date on your neutral letter. So she wants to do all of her printing today, but on some of her records, she wants to have today's date. And then on the next 500 records, she wants to have next week's date. All right. So basically, let's see here, just so I can make sure I get an adequate demonstration. Yeah, you can do this, but what it requires doing is it requires you to, I'm gonna change all these back to prospect. It requires you to have a custom document. Okay, and I'm not going to go in through the whole demonstration on how you create a custom document. There's plenty of articles on how to create a custom document, but basically what I'm going to explain to you is under customize. We're going to, let's just say we've created a custom neutral letter. Okay, and under custom documents, okay, under custom documents. It's not really loading all my custom documents here. This is really slow. I do apologize for this. It is really slow. So let's see, I have another way I can demonstrate this. Without going through necessarily just adding a document. Okay. What I will do, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so someone said the takeaway for tonight is always make sure you pay that extra money for premium Wi-Fi. Pay the extra $4.95. Okay, let's see. The let's see if this. works. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So there's an under customize here on this account. Boy, I tell you, half the time's eaten up by just waiting for things to come back here. So, in the tour under customize. Oh, finally. Okay, custom documents. Okay. Let's pretend that we have created our custom neutral letter here, which we so happen to have. I'm going to make sure I get the right one. Okay. Custom neutral letter 02. So if I edit this, since I've already created a custom document here, as you can see, this is my neutral letter, and this is what would print out of Investment Dominator. So I'm going to go here, and let's say if I wanted to print these out today, I would say February 10, 2019, oh, excuse me, 2020. Okay, so I have this custom document, and I'm going to say update. And so what I want you to understand here is mostly Investment Dominator sometimes gets on our nerves. But what I want you to know here is the neutral letter that we've already created. Normally here in this particular field, there is a current date is what normally prints. Okay, current date. Yep. So this is what normally prints here as a field. So it pulls whatever the current date is. So now if you're going to be doing all your printing today, but you only want certain records to print today, you're basically going to have to hard code the date like I did here, and you're going to have to get rid of this current date. Okay, so you'll get rid of that date. And now when you go into Investment Dominator into your land deals records, when you're used to a high-speed internet, this is brutal. But I remember the days when we didn't even have this. So in any case, let's get down here and see if we can get to our land deals. Wow. Yeah, it is. It really is like, it is like dial-up. This is so slow. I'm telling you, this is, oh boy, I didn't know it was going to be quite this creeping along this much just to get little things done. When I brought it up earlier, it did go pretty quick. So in any case, we want to select certain records here that, let's say you want to print, and we're going to pretend this is, we're selecting our 500 records that we want to print. We go in here under generate documents, and because you have a custom neutral letter, you have to come under the custom document template. Okay, and we're going to look at neutral letter 02, and we'll just go on and print, thank God we don't have to print too many of these. We'll open it up. And so as you can see, once it comes up, let's see. Please open. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is unreal. Yeah, I do. I wish you could take over for me. It's spinning there. And it's only a few records, so it's opening. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Here we go. Okay. As you can see, we have February 10, 2020. So all of those records that I print out now has February 10, 2020. So basically what I want you to understand about this entire exercise here, Shandis, is that when you go back in and you've printed these records, now you have you basically have come over, you've changed the status from prospect to mail letter 1, right? So let's pretend we did that. We changed it to mail letter 1, and then let's say you want to print the next, and you're doing all this today. So you want to do the next 500 records, right, which are still in prospect status. And you then want to go back to generate documents, but before you do this, the step is to, I should have gone up under customize, and under customize, you're going to go in now and you're going to modify. You're going to modify our neutral letter O2 again. You're going to edit that, and you would change the date to February 17, right? So that's next Monday. And then of course you would update it, save it for Monday. So this is just like you're printing next Monday. Okay. Okay, so now I'll go back under land deals. Well, my thinking on being on a dedicated Wi-Fi was that I would have it all to myself and I'd have a much better response time, but um, that's okay. We're gonna make it work here. Okay, so now that you've generated your new custom document, which has next week's date on it, you come in and you're going to then generate documents. And you know something? I'm going to make my life easy. I'm just going to do a couple of records here so it doesn't have to take too long opening up. So you come back under generate documents, and then of course you have to come under the custom document. And since you've changed that date, when you come in here, under neutral letter O2, and you print that out. Okay, when you open it up. Okay, well, finally, we get to the end of our demo here. As you can see, now we have February 17th. So that's how you're going to have to print. That's how that's how you're going to have to print your records from one week to the next, so that you can change your dates and you can do all of your printing in one day. Okay. So I'm hoping that that's clear. I mean, I know you can't say I went too fast, because I definitely didn't go too fast. It was, oh my gosh, that was brutal. That was brutal. I'm hoping some of our other questions here that are coming in, I can demo. Yeah, I can demo this one pretty quick. Um, the second question that came in. Let me see if I missed any today so far. Okay. If I missed any so far, okay. Guess one person. Okay. Okay, Jim, you have a question about giving out a guest password. Can you give out a guest password? Okay, so that you can show someone your websites in the Dominator and view it with them. Someone so you can give someone your website and view it with them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you would view it with them. That will not work, but you do have a team up here that you can set up. You could set up another person, as a user, come up here and do an add user, and they could have access into your Investment Dominator account. Um, and I guess if you're on the phone and you guys are looking at the website, so they could log on. If you set them up as a separate user, they would log on, and you could log on as your user ID, and they could then have access to your website. So, but they're basically looking at everything from the same account, and you'd have to be on another phone with them, and you could do it that way. So, when you come up here and you do an add user, that's basically how you would do it for a guest to access your ID. Okay, so you'd set them up as a user. Hopefully you would make them a rep, not an admin. But that's up to you if you want to make them an admin, and you basically would fill out this information. Then you'd put a username here and a password, give them a password. And then you'd have to give them your Investment Dominator account number, so that when they logged in, it would come to the right account where they would have a user already set up. So yes, you could do it that way. And then I guess if you guys are on the phone, you could talk with them about, your different websites, or you could show them your website that way. Okay. And so I guess it's a yes on that one. Guest passwords that you can show someone the websites and view it with them. Two, any recommendations for a person for website design, editing, not Upwork or Fiverr or Carrot, but actual company. Okay. Do I have any actual companies for website? No, I really don't. Jim, sorry, for person for website design. So it sounds like you need a CSS coder. Okay. Any website design CSS coders or companies. And I'm sorry, I don't have any I would recommend for that kind of that extensive work. The ones that have been on Upwork or Fiverr or even Carrot, they seem like they've been, adequate. But if you don't want to use them, I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you with that one. Okay, so the other question is, where is your investment Dominator account number? Okay, that one can answer pretty quickly. On this page, if you look at the CRM number, so everyone's will have Investment Dominator / REI CRM and then slash, and the CRM dash, and this see the 00002, that's this account number. Each of you out there should have a unique CRM dash number, and that is where your account number for Investment Dominator is located. So always have to make sure that when you give someone out, like Pat Live, when you give them out access to your Investment Dominator, you should go up to at least the CRM dash and the account number so that they log on to the right Investment Dominator and can have access to your system, those of you that are using Pat Live. And that's quite a few of you out there, so hopefully that will cover that question. Number 4, how do we use advanced searching is a question that came in. Don't know, let's see, not sure who came in from a gentleman named Harold. And it's basically, how do we use the advanced search function in the Investment Dominator? And I could spend, half of our call here, which I won't, going into that. And I won't spend that much time going into it, but this advanced search function here, so you notice I'm using the high level advanced search for our land deals. Now, you also have advanced search, in marketing, and but we're talking about the one for land deals, and this is basically so that you can search using multiple criteria. So I'm just going to go through a few quick examples so that it doesn't we don't take too much time here. Let's just say that you were looking for, prospect records. So obviously you'd have to be searching for status. And the only reason why we use a advanced search is because we want to use multiple search criteria, okay? Status equal to prospect. And if you want to add another searching criteria here, you say add rule over here. And let's say we want to say the date, date created was between, I don't know, let's say, go back into 2019, but in between July 1 and August 1. So if you wanted to find records, any prospect records that where they were created during this particular time, you could then, and I would recommend that you always save your searches. If you do an advanced search, save your advanced searches, and you just give it a title. Prospect search 01. And you say, okay, so that's going to create and it's going to save your search. Okay, and then you actually execute the search. So, currently nothing meets that criteria. So let's go up and we're going to select our prospect search. It's right here. So let's say if we make this June 1, 2019, between this and we update it. Oh, that's 1-1. So 061. And we update it. So it's going to find anywhere where I have a records that were created between these two dates. And I'll say search. And here you go. So it came back with a lot of different records. Now, based on that, if I wanted to do something with those records, I could just do a select all, and it's going to select all records based on the last search or the previous search. So this is how you use advanced search. This is just one capability, and I'll show you as we edit. You see the date created here. That's what we searched for, was on June 30th. So obviously that was between our times. Search using an advanced search, there are many different ways you can use it. If let's just say I wanted to get back to my land deals, I want to do an advanced search, and I'm not going to do too many. I just want you to know that this has a very powerful searching capability. So again, if I want to look at let's say I want to do 3 searches. So I want to look at property. Let's say property county. All right, so county equals Duval. And I want to add a rule to say that the status is equal to pending preliminary research. So these are people that are looking for offers. Add another rule that says, let's say we even have something special in notes. Notes equal, or let's just say contains the words flooding issues. Okay? So I want to find any offers. You know, people are looking for offers, but in the notes, I wrote something about flooding issues. So again, I can save this as some name, but I'm going to do a quick search here and see. And here you go. So I have 3 records here. They're in the county Duval. They're under pending preliminary research, right? And in the notes section, if I go in here and edit one of these records, I should find in my notes section something, hopefully in one of these notes. Yeah, see, it had something to do with flooding issues. So you can really use this in a very powerful way. And just want you to know that that's just a couple of different ways to use the advanced search function. Okay, and Carlos has a question there about selecting records, yes. Let me see. So Carlos, your question is there a way okay, to specify the number of records you wish to select? Oh, sure, in order to send to the mailing house. To the mailing house. Yes, absolutely. You know, in your if you want to just select certain records, okay, I want to get all of my prospect records here. Okay, so now I personally recommend that you only bring into Investment Dominator. Um, I personally recommend you only bring into Investment Dominator the records that you want to process at that particular time. So if you got several thousand records in here, so now you've got a different situation and you have to handle it a little differently. But if I just brought in only the records I've only imported into Investment Dominator only the prospect records, right? That I have. I don't know if that's the scenario you're speaking of, or if you have several thousand records and you only want to send out a certain number of records that you want to send to the mailing house. Carlos, I don't know which scenario we've got here, but I'm thinking it's the scenario where you might have several thousands of records in here, and you only want to send 400 or 500 of them at a time to the mailing house. Is that correct, Carlos? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I figured. So several students are like that. They've got thousands of records in here. They only want to send a portion of them um, to the mailing house. So what they have to do is, you see these ID numbers over here, because you have imported them into Investment Dominator. Investment Dominator puts them in order by the ID that you see here. So um, so since you have so many records in here, but you see they're in order: 385, 386, 387, 388, 389. All the way to 392. If I just wanted to send the 386 through 392, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to do a search on my property ID range, and I'm going to say, 385 through 392. I'm going to have the system search and find those specific records. Okay. And what I'm going to do now, okay, because these are the only records I have in here based on the search. So I'm going to have to select all the records that I search for, and then I'm going to come over and I'm going to do an export, because I have only these records are the ones I want to send out. So I'm going to export this file, and as you can see, it brings me a .csv file down here. And then I'm going to open this file and I'm going to save it, somewhere on my computer, just like I would if I had another file going to letterprinting.net or going to the mailing house. So I'm going to save these records, and I'm not gonna, I would like to do it right now. It's gonna take us a long time to have the system save it and then us open it. So trust me on this. You save it, you open it, it'll open as an Excel file, then you save that file, right? And put it somewhere on your computer, and that's the file that you can send to ITI. Now, if I didn't have to select certain records, it is a little bit of a process, Carlos. But now, something I want to make sure you do, once you open this file and you save it, so now this file is gone, make sure you come in here and at this level, change your status from prospect to mail letter 1. Make sure you do that. And then all of these records here that you selected will be in mail letter 1, so that next time you come in to do another batch, if I clear my search here, these will be in a different status, so they won't even be visible in your list of records anymore. See, 385 through 392 will be in mail letter 1 status. So then the next group that you want to, process will be 364 or 354, whatever the number is, but they should all be in order. And you want to make sure that you get those records, and they'll still be in prospect status. Then you'll come in, select those records again by the, searching by the property ID range, select those records again. Then you do your export, save that file, send that one to the letterprinting.net, and then you come in here, and once you've selected those records, you want to change the status again to mailed letter 1. So that's going to be the the process you have to do every single week when you do it like this. And the reason you have to do it like that is because, you brought in several thousand records at a time into the Investment Dominator. We teach that if I'm going to process 500 records, those are the only ones that I'm going to import into Investment Dominator. So the beauty of that is, let's just say all of my prospect records, only 500 are there. I can come up here and I can say, go into my campaigns area, and automatically at this level, this prospect level, my .csv file has been created. Then I have my prospect neutral letter template and envelope template that I can print off if I want, or if I have one saved, I can just send it to ITI, to letterprinting.net, or click to mail, whoever you're using. You send these two files, then they're PDFs, along with your .csv file that automatically gets generated by all of the records that are in prospect status. So that's the reason for having it set up like that. We're trying to make it easier on you. Okay. So hopefully that will give you some insight. So Patrick asked a question. What if you wanted to make a note on multiple records? A note on multiple records. Well, now, Patrick, let's see here. I'm going to check just under my help, and I'm going to look at, because I don't know off the top of my head if we have a field. Going to search my user guide. I'm going to type in the word import. And there just might be an additional field. If you wanted to make a note on a lot of records at the same time. Okay. You all have a lot of questions tonight, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. No, that's not the one I'm looking for, Davis. Okay, how to import your list for land investing. That's the one I'm looking for. Okay, I just want to check to see. Okay, so you see we have all these required fields as well as non-required fields. And I just wanted to check to see if there is a notes field. I haven't seen it before. Offer amount, offer, assessed value, repair, back taxes, tags. Nope, I don't see that being a field. Now, that said, if you did want to kind of fool the system and you wanted to bring in a note, um, hmm, you could use another field. Let's say even second owner's first name. If you wanted to do that, you could import another field, but the only thing is it's going to put your note in that particular field in Investment Dominator, and you'd have to move that note. See, let's say if I use the tags field and I wanted to bring in, because it says you can bring it, you have several tags. So let's just say I wanted to have a tag, but I actually want that to be a note. So I put in my Investment Dominator a field called tags. I put my note in there, in that field, and I import that record into the Investment Dominator. It's really not, that's really not the most efficient way to do that, but it would save you having to type that particular field. You could just copy it. But if that's the case, you could copy it for all of those notes, whatever. If I wanted to put the same note into several of these particular records, and I want them to have the same note, either I edit that and I just come down, I copy it into my buffer, I edit this record, and I just come down and then paste that note. That's the only way I can see to do that. This allows you to search for certain information and bring it up. But if you want to input certain information into all those records, I think you still have to do them one at a time. Sorry, that's about the only way. I'll look at Investment Dominator some more just to see if there's a way I can figure out to do it. But the bottom line is your notes are separate fields here, and you can add a note. Just don't see a way to actually input a note into a record because there's not a notes field there. Okay. So if you think that's a good feature and you have a lot of cases where you want to do that, you can come up here under help. And just in case you want to know, you can add a feature or suggest a feature here, and Alex and company, will look at that and see if that's something that would be worth putting into the Investment Dominator, putting that functionality in. Okay. 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 Yeah, there's been a suggestion here that maybe you could export to Excel, change the tag fields, and re-import. Yeah, you could do that, Everett, but the issue is the same. When you import into Investment Dominator, there's no field here called notes. You understand? So since there's not a field called notes, when Investment Dominator pulls that data, it's going to import right back into Investment Dominator under all of the whatever name you named it. we're trying to figure out a way when you can import it. If you re-import it, you could import it into an actual notes field instead of some of these other fields. But because there's not a notes field on in the Investment Dominator, there's no way to make that happen, very seamlessly and smoothly. So that's the point. But thank you. That's a good suggestion. Good suggestion. So I hope that gives you guys some ideas on what you can do with your investment dominators in terms of the power of the advanced search option. So yeah, we've just got a few minutes left here. Let me see if there's a question I can get that's really quick. Got a few. Boy, some of these questions are they're very good. They're all good, but they're not short questions. They're not short answers. So I'm gonna have to pick these up on Thursday. So if I okay, good thinking, Everett. Coming up with some good ideas, but I happen to know that that particular one, it needs to be a field that Investment Dominator is going to interpret. So in any case, I don't want to get too much into that, but that's good thinking. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, Dean had asked a question real quick. How can he find skip traces? How to find skip traces in the Investment Dominator? So any, okay, I'm assuming you mean any records that are marked skip trace. So, and that's again coming up here under this. All of these are functions, or all of these are statuses that you have assigned records. You have offer requests, which are pending preliminary research, but you have skip trace right here. So any records, okay, there's currently no records that have been marked for skip tracing. So skip tracing, for those of you who may be brand new and you don't realize what skip tracing is, it's basically if you have any of these prospect records that go out, you mail them out via ITI or you mail them out yourself, they come back because they did not find the address. So they need to be skip traced. So let's just assume 386, 385. These need to be skip traced. They've gone out, they're under mail letter 1 status, possibly, and I need to come in here and change the status now. I can change the status to skip trace, which tells whoever I'm working with that I have 2 records here that need to have their addresses checked. So I mark them skip trace, and since they don't show up here, if I come up here and I hit this, which tells Investment Dominator, find me any records that are in skip trace status mode, or they're in that particular status. So it will, hopefully a lot sooner and quicker than it is now, it will go back and it'll find these records here that are in skip trace status. And so your VA or whoever you assign to do this task will now come in here, edit this record, and find the right address using some particular skip tracing system that will help them find addresses. The one that we use right now, or we've been using, I'm forgetting right now, but I believe if you look under skip tracing, you'll find a lot of different articles on skip tracing. So you can find companies that will actually do, I think there's a company called batchskiptracingio.com or batch skip tracing that will actually do the skip tracing for you. They charge you for that, obviously, but it's a service that they offer. And in any case, that's about all we have time for today, people. Sorry for the very slow response time. It really impacted us being able to get a lot of work done that I was hoping to get done. We didn't get through many questions at all. So I will look on the list, get any questions that I didn't get answered, and they'll be on Thursday's list, okay? And we will catch them on Thursday, and I will be back in my office with my high-speed internet. Just leave you with a thought here. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is when you increase strength. And I definitely agree with that. Going through your hardships and your struggles, and if you're having a little struggling time with this business, it is understandable. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. This business is worth it. Just keep your head down, stay in line, get in line, and stay in line. That's what Jack tells us. Get in line and stay in line, because your struggles are going to be developed. Your struggles develop your strengths. And that quote, by the way, came from Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, Arnold. So go and have a good remainder of the evening and have a great week. And I will be here on Thursday at 12 noon. Take care, everybody. Thanks for all the good questions. Bye-bye now.